Hello, hello. And now it's time to do a challenge on possessive pronouns. But first, let's go over them. Um, Possessive pronouns for my. And these are going to be first male, then female, then middle gender, and then plural. Just a reminder, if anything is in plural, it's always going to be the same possessive pronoun, whether it's plural feminine genders or plural male or middle genders, whatever. It's going to be the same for all of them. It's for the singular when there is a distinction. Мой, мой, моя, моя, моё, моё, мои, мои. Now let's go to your informal. Твой, твой, твоя, твоя, твоё, твоё, твои, твои. So now let's do formal or plural when addressing more than one person. Ваш, ваш, ваша, ваша, ваше, ваше, ваши, ваши. And let's go ahead and do our. Наш, наш, наша, наша, наше, наше, наши, наши. I hope you're seeing a pattern there. All right, well, Russian usually always makes things more complex, but in this time, I don't know what happened. But I did not forget, guys, I did not forget to add any more here. They don't exist. Yes, that's correct. So for his, we're going to use only one word. And guys, it's the same word that we use for the accusative case pronouns. Remember? Как его зовут, как ее зовут, как их зовут. Or у него есть. Well, actually, that was, we used "and" there because of the preposition. So, but yeah, как его зовут. We're using that same pronoun, but in this case, it becomes possessive pronoun. So we don't need to learn a new one. And also, we're going to use that same word for all genders and for the plural as well. So, we're going to say его машина, его мороженое, его мясо, его друзья, whatever, anything is all going to be его. And it's all going to be ее машина, ее суп, ее ручка, ее мясо, ее друзья. And for их, for there, it's going to be их, just like it is them in genitive case. It's going to be их машина, их дом, их мороженое, их друзья. So this is where Russian decided to go easy on us. But for the first four, we have to remember all of these forms. Now, I will mostly be practicing our my and then the versions of yours, because those are the pronouns that are most often spoken in conversations. I should have realized this earlier in the class, But I think I should apply the exercise focus proportionally on what's mostly used in conversations. My, I suspect, is used the most, and after that is probably going to be the pronouns that are associated with your, and then probably there's a pretty significant drop off when you get to the rest of them. Alrighty, let's see what else I wrote down before we begin the challenge. Okay, so agreement, as I said in class, possessive pronouns are basically adjectives. Just like adjectives, they have to agree to gender and plurality. And just like adjectives, they also have to agree to the case of the noun. So things can get very complex when we'll be dealing with cases and possessive pronouns involved. But the good news is that we're not gonna cover that in this class. And the good news is that that's about as hard as Russian gets. So if you can master that, you should be okay. But the other good news is that его, ее, and их, remember our old friends, they don't have to agree to the gender. They will always be this way, regardless of gender. So, like for example, uh, let's say I want to drink his water. Okay, я хочу пить его воду. The word вода has to, we were changing it to воду because it has to agree the gender, but the word его remains the same. If I said I want to drink my water, I would have had to say я хочу пить мою воду, not моя, but мою, because the pronoun has to agree to the case as well, just like the word вода does. So these guys, not only do they not have not only do they not have to agree to gender or to plurality, they also do not have to agree to the case. So yeah, I wish we got to use them more often. Yeah. Okay, let's see. And one more thing before we begin. So in English, uh, we do change possessive pronouns a little bit when there is no noun involved. So for example, here's like if we say, this is your car, where is mine? Okay, we can either say, where is my car, which sounds a bit redundant, or we can just say, where is mine, but we cannot say, where is my. I mean, we will be understood, but it's not correct English. So we have to, in English, we have to learn this extra word mine. But in Russian, we don't. Um, here's the equivalent, here's the translation of these two sentences. Это твоя машина, где моя. Now, моя is the same that I would have said about my car, моя машина. So while in English, I say my car, but then when I don't have the car in a sentence, I have to say mine. I can't say my. In Russian, I say моя just the same. So that's another part that maybe is a little bit easier, though I don't think it makes up for the all the other complexity. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about these possessive pronouns. Now let's begin. Let's begin our challenge. Dude, where is my car? I think there was a movie about that. Now, for the word dude, this is a fun little word. The word here is chuvak. Chuvak. It's a kind of a slightly disrespectful way of referring to a man or a young man. It's kind of a fun word. It can definitely come off as offensive if you if it's in a formal setting, but among friends, it's like at like teenage boys, it can be pretty acceptable. Чувак, где моя машина? Чувак, где моя машина? I decided I'll be capitalizing the letters to make it easier for you to remember where the emphasis is. Unfortunately, it's toward the very end of the course that I have adjusted to doing this. Excuse me, where is your car? Formal. I hope you remember for how to say excuse me formally. Извините, где ваша машина? Извините, где ваша машина? It's here. Where is yours? And we're still talking about the car. Now, do you remember we had a exercise on how we substitute the human quote-unquote pronoun for the word it in Russian? This would apply here. Она тут. Где ваша? Она тут, which literally means she is here. Где ваша? Notice that we use the same word for when there is a noun and for when there isn't a noun. In English, we would have said your car, but we would have said where is yours. In Russian, we use the same word. I don't like doing his job. And remember that we're dealing with a feminine gender here that the verb is acting on or will be acting on in Russian. So therefore, we have to agree it to the accusative case. I hope you remember how to do that. But the good news is that the pronoun his will not have to agree. Мне не нравится делать его работу. Мне не нравится делать его работу. Notice the U ending there, because it has to agree to the accusative case. Also notice that we pronounced the word его as a V sound, even though the middle letter normally has the G sound, but we do not say его, we say его. I talked about this before, but I think it doesn't hurt to repeat. Can you not eat my ice cream? Informal. Ты можешь не есть мое мороженое? Ты можешь не есть мое мороженое? Our possessive pronoun has to agree to the neutral gender of the word мороженое. It's my business. And here, by business, I mean kind of like personal affairs. I don't mean like a company, but like personal affairs, which is the same thing we ask when we ask как дела. We're literally asking how are affairs, implying personal affairs. But that's the plural. Singular would be дело. Дело. Это мое дело. Это мое дело. Notice the D is soft because it precedes the E. I never talked about this, but whenever a letter precedes the letter E or Russian "ye," it softens. So don't say "delo," it's "delo," "delo." And it's something that you would say, "это мое дело," when you want people to stay out of your business. When they're being too nosy, just like in English, you would tell them, "Hey, it's my business." And in Russian, you would also say, "это мое дело." It's my dad. His name is Vladimir. Это мой папа. Его зовут Владимир. Это мой папа. Его зовут Владимир. Now, what is the second sentence over here? Это мой папа. Его имя Владимир. Here, we're using его as a possessive pronoun. And the word имя means name. So we're literally saying, this is a direct translation from English. His name is Vladimir. Его зовут is a much more... Now, you might have asked, why Nikolai, why haven't you taught us this in the beginning? Why do we have to do как тебя зовут? Couldn't we just say, какое твое имя? And which translates literally from English. And yes, we could have, but it's not used as commonly in Russian as как тебя зовут. The top form is much more common, but you can use this form, and it's easier because it translates directly from English. But I thought that A, we should be using the most common form, and B, it was a great opportunity right away to introduce you guys to pronouns. But now that we have advanced, we can know that there is such a word as imя, which does literally mean name. And I can also say, мое имя Николай. By the way, the word имя is of middle gender. So I can say, мое имя Николай, which literally means my name is Nikolai. And его имя Владимир in this case means his name is Vladimir, literally. So there are two ways of saying what a person's name is, but again, this version is a lot more common, the top one. My sister wants to live with me. I hope you remember how to say with me. It was just the one video ago. And I hope you remember the verb to live. If you don't, it is жить. Жить. Моя сестра хочет жить со мной. Моя сестра хочет жить со мной. And of course, we have to agree our possessive pronoun here to feminine gender because сестра is of feminine gender. When can your brother be here? Informal. I hope you remember how to say when. Когда твой брат может быть тут? Когда твой брат может быть тут? Can you give me his pen? This is a great example of how in Russian, even in a simple sentence, you could have a lot going on. Number one, the verb give. I don't think have studied it. The verb for give is dать, dать, and it is in perfect form actually. Um, so it's great to use for the verbs in perfect form. As a reminder, are great to use when we're talking about a one and done type of action, like he will give me his pen and that's it. We're not talking about a recurring action, and we're not talking about the process of giving the pen. We're just talking about having it given and the action is completed. Um, and this is going to be a formal sentence. And also, when we give something in Russian to someone, now in English, we give something, we can say, yeah, in English, we also say to. So in English, we give something to someone. And in Russian, we give something to someone. So what does it mean about this pronoun? Which one is it going to be? Is it going to be меня? Is it going to be мне? Or is it going to be mной? We had a discussion about this in our fifth lecture. And finally, the word for pen will have to agree to the accusative case. So yeah, like I said, even in the simplest sentence, you can have a lot happening. Let's see if you can solve it. Вы можете дать мне его ручку? Вы можете дать мне его ручку? So, lucky for us, the possessive pronoun always stays the same, even though it's an accusative case and it describes a female gendered item like ручка. We have the pronoun мне because I'm asking it to be given to me. And so therefore it becomes мне. And finally we have ручка, which is a female gender. And therefore when a verb is acting on it, it gets the u ending instead of the a ending that it normally has. Your friend is already here. This is the formal sentence, and we're talking about a female friend. I hope you remember how to say that. And for already, we're going to use уже. Уже. I believe I've used it before in other videos. Your friend is already here. Ваша подруга уже тут. Ваша подруга уже тут. Notice how we drop the word is because it's the present tense of to be, which in Russian is implied but not pronounced. Also, I hope you remember the word подруга. We have ваша, which is the possessive pronoun for formal female. And what else we got going on? I think that's about it. Your house is big, informal. Твой дом большой. I should have capitalized the last O because that's where the emphasis is. Твой дом большой. Your friends don't want to wait for me. This is informal, and I hope you remember the word for friends. If you don't, it's друзья. Друзья. Твои друзья не хотят ждать меня. Твои друзья не хотят ждать меня. I need your pen. This is informal. And I hope you remember how to need things. The word for need now has to agree with the gender of what is needed. Мне нужна твоя ручка. Мне нужна твоя ручка. I like that your mom is here. Informal. Мне нравится то, что твоя мама тут. Мне нравится то, что твоя мама тут. Thank you, but I don't need your car. Formal. Спасибо, но мне не нужна ваша машина. Спасибо, но мне не нужна ваша машина. Who wants my beer? I hope you remember how to say who. Also, the verb хотеть will have to agree to the single third person for that. It would be as if you were saying he or she. And the word for beer is piva, if you don't remember it. Piva. It is a word of middle gender, so your possessive pronoun will have to be of middle gender. Кто хочет мое пиво? Кто хочет мое пиво? I forgot to capitalize the O here. This is her wine. Yours is there. Informal. Это ее вино. Твое там. Это ее вино. Твое там. It's твое because the word for wine, вино, is of middle gender. And this possessive pronoun is referring to the wine. This is our house. Their house is bigger. And for bigger, we're going to use the same word as we use for the word more, which is больше. Больше. Это наш дом. Их дом больше. Это наш дом. Их дом больше. He needs to do his job today. And for this one, let's use the perfect, one of the perfect versions of the verb to do, of the verb делать, which is сделать. Сделать. We're adding an S to the end of it. Сделать. And we talked about perfect and imperfect verbs in the last lecture, and so I wanted to use something from there. After further researching this topic, a lot of teaching personnel for Russian agree that the talking about distinction between perfect and imperfect is kind of a more advanced topic. And so I thought about making a video specifically about that distinction, but I decided to not do it because really there are just a lot of nuances. And as I said before, in many cases, either one can be used. So I feel like at this stage, it's making things more complex than they really need to be. So for now, I think just know that there is that distinction in Russian verbs between perfect and imperfect, and that we use imperfect to describe a process or to talk about a recurring process, and we use perfect to talk about a action that is to be completed. So this time, let's pretend that this is job that has to be completed today. Ему нужно сделать его работу сегодня. Notice the ending of работу. The verb сделать is acting on it. So it gets the U ending. Ему нужно сделать его работу сегодня. This is our last slide, guys, and it very well could be that this is our last video. I feel like I've included all the concepts that I've presented in the last lecture. We talked just briefly about, the perfect and imperfect. We also practiced agreeing the nouns to the accusative case, which is something I also talked about. But of course, mostly this video is about the possessive pronouns. I don't know. I may make another video. I might not. We'll just see how it goes. But this could be it. See you on Sunday.